It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show.
Well, folks, as we continue to get closer to the election, May 19th, remember, folks, it is an extremely important election in Luzerne County, especially in Luzerne County. Remember we talked about bringing candidates on the Sam Lesante Show who are running for judge. Well, today I have Attorney Richard Hughes, who is running for judge in Luzerne County. Folks, you read, you watch television, you know how very important it is to put the right people in the right offices. And I think when we, after we're done with all the Sam Lesante shows, hopefully you'll have a better idea of who to vote for when it comes to a judge in Luzerne County. Richard, thanks for coming on the Sam Lesante.
Thanks for having me, Sam. Great to be here.
I want to ask you a question. 17 people running, okay, and I got to tell you, you know, there's a lot of great candidates out there, a lot of people. It's going to be a choice. People have to really decide who do they want to put in our judicial system and why it's so important. But before we get into why it's so critical for that, let's talk about you. Okay, right. Successful attorney, heard a lot of great things about you, as many people that you know have said very nice things about you, which is good. Tell me a little bit about your background.
Well, I've been practicing for 22 years. I'm age 48, and I'm excited about this campaign. As you said, there's 17 people running. This is an important time for people to really pay attention to the experience of the candidates. And I'm running on my experience. When I initially came back to the Valley after graduating from law school, I had an opportunity to begin practicing with my dad. That was my dream, to join him. He had established his practice in 1947 after he returned from World War II. And he had been practicing as a general practitioner. At that time, I joined him when we formed Hughes and Hughes. And I had 5 terrific years practicing with my dad. I learned an awful lot from him. He died in 1991. But with him, I learned the appropriate temperament, how to deal with clients, I think, very effectively. And we had a general practice of law, so I got to experience a lot of different areas of the law. And it's that experience, which we'll talk about, I'm sure, throughout this show, which I'm anxious to tell the people about and to bring to the bench.
If you had to write a description of credentials to be a judge in Luzerne County, okay, what do you feel the credentials should be for me to decide who I should vote for judge? There's only 2 openings right now, probably be a lot more down the road, okay, but 17 people, 2 choices, okay. What would you write as far as credentials are concerned? What should I look for?
Right, there obviously are character issues that you have to look at. You want someone who's beyond reproach, honest, has integrity. But experience is so important. You've really got to take a look at what has the person done in their legal profession. What areas have they chosen to practice in? And they're very bright people who just haven't gone into areas that would prepare them to be a judge. I'm fortunate that over the 22 years that I've practiced, I think that my career has molded me perfectly to be a judge, and I'm told that I have the right temperament for it.
Why do you want to be a judge? I mean, and this is always the question. I have breakfast with a group every morning, and we talk. Of course, we solve the world's problems after we're done with breakfast. But, you know, you sit there and say, here's a successful attorney. What do they want to be judges for?
That's a good question. I know as well as anyone, having tried over 30 jury trials, how important it is to have a judge in the courtroom where when you walk in, you have a feeling that he's in control of the courtroom, that he's confident, that he demands respect, and that you're going to get a fair shake. My wife and I had this talk when I was trying to decide whether or not I was going to run for judge or not, and it's something that's always interested me. I love the legal profession. And we talked about it, and I talked about our profession. I talked about some of the negative things that have been happening in the profession recently and some of the bad press it's gotten. And we talked about it at length. And my wife really said to me, if you feel strongly about it, why don't you step up and do something? Why don't you run for this position? You're ready, you're 48 years old, and you have the experience. So that's why I got into this race.
So, you know, and that's another area where people, lawyers of all people should be very much concerned about who the judges are.
Absolutely.
Because you practice in front of them. And I think sometimes when people read or, you know, assuming you donated money to help a cause. I mean, you're running for office. You know, you're always looking to help you out. I mean, you don't have that endless pit where you could just print money. And you need help. I mean, and if someone believes in you, if they could give you help, that's great. But sometimes when other lawyers support people who are running for judges, people get the wrong interpretation. I think they feel that they're doing that because the judge is going to do them a favor sometimes. I don't know if that's the case.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think that is the case. I think that lawyers, like any other citizens under our system, have a right to give money to whoever they believe is going to be the best person for the job. Now, lawyers have a tendency to know that, especially in the candidacy for judge. They've practiced with the person. If you've practiced as long as I have, 22 years now, I know many, many members of this bar, and they're choosing to give me a donation as a vote of confidence. They're saying, yes, we would like this man on the bench. Yes, we do think we get a fair shake from this guy. And so I appreciate it when they come out. I recognize what some people have said, that you want to keep an eye on that, and that we have a system that if someone feels that a judge will be biased in any way, you can make a motion for that judge to recuse himself. And I certainly think there ought to be more transparency in the system. Keep an open record of who's donated to your campaign, make it available, put it in the clerk of court's office. We run for 10-year stints as a judge, 10-year terms, and so therefore people might forget who gave to you in 2008, and we might be trying a case in 2012. If somebody wants to know whether a lawyer gave money to you, they should know in 2012 easily, be able to check the clerk of courts. Then if they feel they have an issue, they have a mechanism to go and ask for a recusal.
Well, you know, I guess when people, the public has been so misled so many times by people who are promising they're going to do this and do that, and that's a whole nother show for me. I'm not going to take up your time. And they just get burnt out, you know, and then they have a tendency of saying, they're all the same. You know, they get in there and they do the same thing. They lie to you when they're running for office, and now they're the same. You know, and certainly, you know, with your background, experience, okay, and why you decided, you have any children?
I do. My wife and I have 3 children, 3 great children. Our oldest is a freshman in college at Washington Lee. This was our first Easter without having all 3 kids home, which was a real shock for me.
Yeah.
Then we have a daughter who's a senior in high school, and she'll be attending Lafayette next year. And then we have a son who's in 5th grade and active lacrosse player and any other sport he can play. Sure. So we've got a wonderful family, we really do.
And how do they feel about Dad running for judge?
They're excited about it, they really are. I think that there's a downside to them that they're seeing a little bit now. You have to be out a lot at night and out going around the county meeting people, and sometimes that cuts into some family time. But by the same token, they've gotten very excited about the process, and it's a learning process for them, just as it is for this non-politician.
Yeah.
You know, for me going around the county, and I'm a morning person, so I used to always get up at 4 and work from 4 to 6 and have a lot ready for the office. Well, now my day, after I'm done with my day job, I start my judicial campaign job, which is at night usually, and not getting home till about 11. But they're great. They've been excited. They've gone to breakfast with me. They've been out. They'll be working the polls. So it's fun. It's a great learning experience for them.
So what advice has your children given you about running for judge? I mean, as your son or your daughter?
Well, my son tells me he's going to carry the whole 5th grade for me, so I figure I've got some of votes coming in there. So I'm in good shape on that front.
What school does he go to?
He's at Wyoming Seminary.
Yeah.
And he tells me that I'm doing great in the 5th grade class, so I felt good about that. You know, their advice has just been what is common sense.
You know, when you're around the kitchen table, especially a college girl or college, you know, that they say, Dad, this is what I really think, you know, because a lot of young people have a lot of great ideas.
Well, they are, and you know, they're a whole different generation. They're so into YouTube and computers and texting and things like that, that we've had a lot of talk about utilizing that, and as we know, President Obama used that very effectively in his last campaign. So it's been fun to talk about those things, but they really, when they hear us talking about it, say the same common sense things. You just get out there and tell your story and talk about the issues that are important to you, and that's what I'm trying to do.